Okay, good afternoon, class. At least I'm very happy because somebody responded, and it's so glad that at least more than one person really answered to the question of what is the difference between anxiety and fear. Now, let us now go back to what I have told you a while ago with regard to these three components, and that is wala malagi anxiety versus fear. Now, there are two persons who already have submitted their assignment, and I am not willing to wait for more simply to accommodate them. But again, this is your assignment, so therefore, please do your assignment. Now, there are definitions, but I want this to be described of what is really the difference between anxiety and fear. So therefore, I have written on my right here that is anxiety versus fear. Now, most of the definition are actually taken from Google or from what, but actually I will just explain this to you in a very simple way. What is anxiety and what is fear? So, when we're talking of anxiety, that is as if you are scared of the unknown. In other words, the object of your fear is diffused, while the anxiety is that you're scared of something that is really specific. Like, for example, this is the first time that you can enter Northeastern Mindanao colleges. You have just graduated from senior high. And therefore, when you walk into now the four corridors of our school, you will feel anxious. You do not know what is it, but that nervousness, that anxiety, that is precisely anxiety. And then if you can enter to my class, and then my face will torment you, my nature will torment you. Now therefore you have a specific person of whom you're scared, and that is therefore fear. So again, let me repeat. Anxiety is diffuse, while fear is specific. You know the person, you know the objects. Okay? Now, I will go now to the next thing. I will just go back to these three things that I've been telling you about emotion, mind, and behavior. Okay. Now, these three, since I have given you an assignment of what is anxiety and what is fear, I will explain the biological basis of these three. Now, let's go back. What is the mind? Okay. Okay. Now, the mind, wala man lagi mong gawas. Okay, now we will now go to the biological basis of the mind. Okay, now the mind, you know that the mind is the one that keeps us thinking. The biological basis of this is simply your cerebrum. Now, this one, now in the projection, you have seen that the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. Now, you know that when you think, it is more on the frontal lobe. This is your rational part. Okay? So when I am talking about the mind, I am simply looking into this part of your brain. Okay? Now let's move, because I really don't want that my students, when I say that I love you with all my heart, this is actually of your emotion or your feelings, is actually these two structures. Your hypothalamus, this one, and as well as your limbic system. Okay, now do not memorize the parts because it is irrelevant to me. But I just wanted to pinpoint only what is the location of your emotion, that it is simply your limbic system. Okay, now So therefore, we will now able to compartmentalize where is that mind coming from. It is simply coming from the brain, the cerebrum, and the parts of which is your frontal lobe, the occipital lobe, the parietal lobe, and the what's that? And then the next part is, of course, your emotion. The biological basis for this is simply your limbic system. Okay? Now, go. Asa naman to siya? Now, this is what I am telling you about your anxiety. Now, your anxiety is simply this one. If you can remember your autonomic nervous system, it is divided into two parts, your sympathetic as well as your parasympathetic. Now, I am going to give you the example. Okay, in most cases, if there is somebody who is going to die, we're going to send them a wreath, and the reason on the wreath is that our deepest sympathy. Now, to us, a layman, when we speak of sympathy, we're talking about please calm down. But in medical science, this is totally the opposite. Because once it means sympathetic, it means break. Huh? Sorry. Once we're talking about sympathetic, it means overdrive. You go overdrive. But when you speak of the parasympathetic, it means relax. Okay, I am going to explain this to you. Now, if you're under anxiety, if you're so tense, and therefore your autonomic nervous system will simply reply to this one. It will send up your sympathetic nervous system to go overdrive, to act like, for example, the fight or flight. But then the parasympathetic will simply say, break, stop, cool down. And these are simply the basis of your anxiety and fear. Okay? So we now have the biological basis of what is anxiety and what is fear. Fear is specific, while anxiety is diffuse. Now, then you're going to tell me, sir, what's the point of having Raven? Or what's the point of having Annabelle Lee? That is precisely that for tonight, you're going to read or you're going to listen to the video of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and then also Annabelle Lee. Now, after that, you're going to tell me, what do you think is the components of our mind, emotion, and behavior was nawala akong now. Was being addressed by this two. Hala, nagka-okay siya. Okay, now, so I want you to give me an answer. What is the Raven all about? Wala na. Okay, what is the Raven all about? Was it about your emotion? Or was it about your thinking? Or what is the Annabelle Lee all about? Was it all about your thinking? Or was it all about your emotion? And therefore, you have an assignment, huh? Remember, this is your assignment. Just send me, okay, Annabelle Lee stimulate my emotion, or Annabelle Lee is about thinking, or the Raven is about emotion, or the Raven is about thinking, so that later on I will be able to apply that, and I will explain so much more on the anxiety and how are we going to diagnose ourselves whether we have anxiety. And I might explain to you also what is this virus all about. I am not prepared because Mr. Anino told me that too long can be very, very hard to compress and upload. So I'm very sorry, but I have to answer that. But maybe by next meeting, I am going to explain what is this coronavirus, because the more we're educated, the better we are, the better we are equipped. Always remember that knowledge is power. And remember what I have posted on my FB, that learning does not mean schooling, and schooling doesn't mean learning. I am very fascinated by what we're doing right now, and I hope that in the process you learn. Okay? And I am not going to add so much of the caricature of myself. Again, tonight, please send me your answer. Listen to the Raven and Annabelle Lee. Respond. What kind of this? What kind of a poem is this? Was it able to stimulate my thinking, or was it able to stimulate my emotion, or whether the narrator is about rage or is about madness? Just tell me about it, so that I will explain that by next meeting, and then I am going to categorize what is anxiety. How will you know that you have this anxiety disorder? And I hope if you have some question, please, please, please send me your question, because I am only a touch away. Amazingly, that this computer that we have, this technology that we have, enable us to reach, even if you're out there. Maybe I really do not know where are you right now, but please answer all my questions. And then if ever you have any question with regard to the topic that I have presented right now, just ask. Okay? Okay, bye-bye.